guys, how's it going? Thanks for coming back. I appreciate if you have been giving me support on my other videos. I also have TikTok now set up as well as Instagram, so I'll make sure to link those in the description. Today is going to be an interesting day. So if you've been watching my other videos, you've noticed that I have done my makeup to go get my passport once. Then I was practicing to do it again. And this is the third time now I'm going to go get my passport pictures done. You're probably wondering, how many passport pictures did this girl take? None yet, actually. So what happened was I got rejected the first two times. The first time they didn't like that I was wearing lip gloss and that I had a bit of highlighter on my face, so they sent me home. And the second time, which was not that long ago, they sent me home because the color of my shirt was too light. So if you don't know, I am in Canada and we have to take our passport pictures with a white background. And I was wearing a light gray shirt and they said it was too light, so I had to come back with a dark shirt. So today I'm going to make sure to wear a black shirt. I've also slicked back my hair. This isn't my go-to style by any means, but they want you to show your ears as well. So I guess that's the distinguishing feature between criminals when you go international. Does he have pointy ears? Are they, what type of lobes do they have? So that's what I'm doing today. So I'm going to do, I've decided I'm going to do more of a hybrid makeup. Not full glam, but not super, no makeup, kind of a halfway in between. So I'm going to be using a couple different products today. And as always, you can see the link, or not the link, you can see what products I'm going to be using down in the description. If you know me and you've watched my other videos, you know I like to start with really good skincare. That's super important. So I'm going to start with my Hydrating Primer Mist. You guys are going to get bored of seeing this all the time, but it's so good. That's why I use it all the time. I've been playing around with doing TikTok and Instagram Reels. Well, I guess they're called Shorts on YouTube too, or whichever way it's worded. It's definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone. But it's a learning experience, so it's a good thing. I'm hoping not to make this long, but I mean you're gonna know how long it is. I don't know right now, but we're gonna find out. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply some moisturizer as well, and I'm gonna follow this with sunblock. Okay, so I've given you guys good advice, which is to blow your nose first, and I always forget to do that, so I have to remind myself to do that as well. I hate being done my makeup and realizing that my nose is stuffy and then I have to blow it, and it's hard not to ruin your nose makeup after you blow your nose. So always make sure you get that done. Alright, so I've now applied sunblock. I love how dewy my skin always looks after sunblock. Maybe TikToks are ruining me and I don't know how to talk on normal videos now. Okay, so now I'm just putting primer in the areas that have the most visible pores. There's no magic product out there that's going to eliminate your pores, because if you are human and you have skin, you're going to have pores. Some are just a little bit more visible, the pore size, than others. There's nothing that's actually going to shrink it, but there are things that you can use to kind of fake the appearance of them being smaller, but there's nothing out there magical that's going to shrink them. So I'm going to be using powder foundation today, and I have been experimenting a little bit with it. I wouldn't say I'm the master of it by any means, but I do like the coverage that it gives, as well as how quick and easy it is to put on. So I'm going to do this kind of in backward steps, and I'm not going to be doing much for my eyes today. I had thought of just doing like a pencil shadow. Again, because I'm going to take my passport pictures, they don't want me to have any type of shine on my face. So I'm going to go ahead and actually use some eyeshadow sticks. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this Colourpop shadow stick in the shade Gimme a Sign. So it's just this, I'd say like a camel tone brown. And I'm going to go and be very liberal with this. So I'm going to apply this to the lid where I want it. And I'm just going to make sure to cover all the areas I want. And as you can see, I'm doing kind of like a half circle here. So I'm going to blend it out. It looks funny like this, but you're going to want to blend it out whenever you're using eyeshadow sticks. You can typically use your finger, or you might want to use a brush, depending on the formula of the shadow stick. And this is going to be one of the best ways to have like a one and done eyeshadow look. As you can see, it pretty much blends itself out. I'm not being careful by any means. I'm just doing small motions, circular motions, windshield wipers, whatever you feel like doing in the moment. and it kind of blends itself out. So you can already see a difference between me just applying it and blending it out. Some shadow sticks might give you a longer amount of time to work with them. Others might dry out super quickly. These ones do seem to give you a bit of time to work with. I didn't set any eye primer for this. I could have. But I'm not scared of my veins peeking through. Realistically, if I am traveling, probably not going to be wearing any makeup or just a very quick light hand. So, I mean, might as well match the picture, right? Alright, now that the shadow's blended out, I am going to want to set it. I know it is a cream powder, so there is some chance that it could crease, and it is really warm outside today. So I do have to go run some errands as well as take my pictures, so I'm going to set that with a little bit of powder. You could use translucent powder. In this case, I'm just going to use the same shade of bronzer that I normally use. So I'm going to take from the Wet n Wild, the contour shade. This is the palette Dulce de Leche. And I'm just going to take some of the brown shade and just pat it on to set what we applied with that cream shadow. Everything is slipping my mind right now, so if I called it something else before, you know what I'm talking about. Again, I'm not being careful with the placement, I'm just putting it on there, and I'm going to repeat the same on the other side. So I don't know when the requirements for passport pictures change, but 10 years ago it was not what it is now. You could go all glammed up. My 2016 passport picture actually looks super cute, I think. I was wearing like a full glam look, highlighter, not contour because I've never been into that, but I looked like I was going to a party internationally. I guess now they want you to look like you just rolled out of bed, but that's fine. We can try to make that look cute somehow. Alright, so now that the eyes are decent, we might come and revisit them later on. I'm going to go ahead and start concealing my face. So I do want a decent amount of coverage today. I haven't been sleeping well the past couple nights. I don't know if you can tell, but I want to make sure that the person who's looking at my passport can't tell. So I'm going to be using my, again, trusty duo. It's the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer in the shade Light Beige. And I'm going to go ahead and apply that to the areas that need to be hidden from anyone knowing that they exist. So, as you know, I like to use 2 different concealers. And by the way, I am talking a little bit louder in today's video than normal. In editing, I noticed that it's quite quiet. So, I apologize if it feels like I'm screaming at you, but I kind of am. So what I'm going to do is I'm just kind of gonna blend it out to where I want to cover. A little bit goes a long way, and it's always better to add more than to start with too much and then try to take it off. And I did have quite a bit of redness today, I didn't realize until just now. So after I'm done using my concealing concealer, I like to also go in with a brightening concealer, which in this case is going to be the Maybelline Eraser in the Neutralizer shade. And I go pretty much in all the same places I did before. Under the eyes, a little bit on the chin, and the forehead. I'm going to have to make sure to take some translucent press powder with me to the photo shoot. It sounds fancier than it is. For the pictures, because last time I was a little bit shiny in the forehead. And this guy gave me this thing that looked like construction paper. I didn't know what he wanted me to do with it. But I know blotting paper for oil can look kind of like a balloon, like the rubber texture, or there's some that look like tissue, like gift tissue wrapping paper. But this one looked like straight up construction paper. It was just as stiff, and I was like, what is this? He's like, oh, it's to blot the shininess. And I was like, alright. I don't think it did a good job because when he took the pictures, it still looked shiny, and he said I should come back another day instead. So here we are. Okay, so similar to how I would normally do my concealer, I'm going to go in with my buffing foundation brush just to push that all in. And because I am using these tapping motions, it's going to hide any streaks that were visible from me spreading it out before. If you do want full coverage, typically when you're using a brush, you're going to want to swipe. But if you want it to look flawless and airbrushed, you would just use these small patting motions to press it in. I'm going to try to get close afterwards so I can show you what I mean. I should have done that before, sorry guys, in another one. But you'll see what the blended in looks like when you pat the brush. So I'm not sure if you can tell, but that did blend in pretty well. Alright, so now I'm going to go in with my pressed setting powder right before I bake, which I'm still going to do today. So again, you're going to want to make sure that there's no lines or creasings that have started to form underneath the eye. And I'm going to press in that powder, so this is going to be a good base for the baking that we're going to do. I'm repeating the same on the other side as well. And this can be your favorite press powder. I always like to use the It Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores, but it can be whatever you prefer. And I'm going over the areas that have my pores that are a little bit more visible. And now I'm going to go ahead and set the baking area. So I'm going to take my sponge. I'm going to dip into my press powder. And this is a mini version of the full-size press powder I like to use. It's the KVD. I forget what it's called, but it's the loose powder from KVD. The sponge is dry. You know I'm not crazy about sponges, but I do use them to set my baking. I'm repeating the same on the other side. I think I'm getting used to being quiet for the TikToks I record. Let me know what type of stories you guys want me to share with you. I was thinking about talking today about how I met my husband. This sounds like How I Met Your Mother, but I promise you it won't be 10 seasons with a crappy ending. I was thinking about telling you how I met my husband, which is actually on a flight, technically. I guess that sounds like a cute meet, right? But, yeah, maybe that's a story for another day. Let me know if you guys want me to share that with you. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, the baking is in place. I'm going to put on my foundation. So this is a weird combination. Let me know if you guys use pressed powder foundation instead of liquid foundation, how you like to layer up or sandwich your makeup when you're doing it. I'm still fairly new to the powder foundation world because I have dry skin and I thought that was a bad idea to get into, but the Makeup Forever foundation is actually really good. It doesn't make my skin look dry. Of course, I moisturize as well, as you could see before I apply it. And I don't know if I have two of them, so I'm not sure which shade I am right now. I'm going to go in with the 1Y18. So this is what it looks like. It does come with a little sponge, but I actually don't like to apply it with that. I like to go in with a relatively dense foundation brush. It doesn't have to be a foundation brush, it's just a densely packed brush. I guess technically it could be a blush brush because of the angle there, but I'm going to dip into the foundation itself. So I have some on my brush, and then I'm going to start patting and kind of dragging it on the face where I want the coverage. So if I wasn't talking so much, this would actually be really quick to apply, but because I have been talking, we're barely this far in the makeup video. And you're always going to want to drag it down a little bit too to blend it in your neck. There's nothing worse than seeing a harsh line where the makeup ends. Looks like a mask. And I did actually end up cleaning up my eyebrows just a tiny bit underneath. I think I kind of like the thickness of them, but I'm kind of scared. I feel like I could easily go overboard and start over tweezing them, so let me know what you guys think if they look okay. And again, I'm going to go everywhere, so the forehead as well, absolutely everywhere that we want to be covered. And with the powder foundation, I find that the opposite is true from what I just said at the beginning about dragging or patting. So with your powder foundation, if you pat, you're going to get more coverage. If you drag, it's going to thin it out a bit. So I do drag to stretch it out, but then I pat in the areas that I want to have a little bit more coverage. And I'm going to make sure to take this with me in case it says, or they, I guess, in case they say my face looks shiny. I'll blot or matte with this. I think that was a good shade. You can't really tell because I'm wearing a black shirt, but I think that matches. Alright, so now that we have applied the foundation everywhere, we're gonna wisp away the bake that we did. So I'm just taking a rounded brush here, and I'm gonna brush away the baking that I had, and this is gonna help give a little bit more coverage under the eye, as well as bring in some brightness. And I always like to do this kind of backward 7, or depending what side you're looking at me on, a 7 and a backward 7. and stretch that out, whatever's left over in the brush, to the areas that might have a little bit more shine than I want. That's the base. So now I'm going to go in with my bronzer, and like you just saw, I'm going to use that Wet n Wild duo here. So I'm just taking my bronzing brush, which is actually a repurposed blush brush, and I'm going to apply it to the same areas I always do. So the top corners of my forehead. My hollow is here, so I'm going to go right above right here. And I like to pat it in and then drag it in once I have it placed where I want. And I'm going to connect it here with what I applied on the forehead. So notice that I do go into my hairline quite a bit. I don't like how it looks when people just put it on the outside and then you have this really pale skin for your hairline. So I like to blend it in as much as I can. And now that I've pat placed it, I can drag and brush it out to make sure it's giving the coverage I want where I want it. I'm going to repeat the same on the other side. I don't know that I'm the best storyteller. I know my niece, she's amazing. Actually, no, all three of them are really good at telling stories. They capture you. And I'm just going to take a little bit and put it under my nose. And under my chin. And I'm going to drag out whatever I have left over to the rest of the connection between the neck and the face. I don't know if you guys can tell, but yeah, you kind of can. Look at all the postpartum hair regrowth that I have. So I've been shedding like crazy the last couple months. I thought I was going to be bald at one point because there's just so much hair in the shower. But look, it's growing back now. You can kind of see it. Looks weird. But your hair comes back. That's a good thing. Watch me saying that this was going to be a simple no makeup and it's turning into heavy full glam. Oops. Alright, now I'm going to go in with blush. I want to balance out the bronzer that I put, and because the eyes are pretty simple, I'm going to be using one of my blushes. That's not the most discreet one I have, but it's not the loudest either. This is the Patrick Ta blush in the shade She's Blushing. So this is what it looks like. And it does have the powder as well as the cream. I'm just going to use the powder because I don't want any sign of dewiness or glowiness or shine, or they're probably going to send me home again. So we want to avoid that this time. So I'm just going to go in with my brush. And I'm going to place it, I like to place it next to the bronzer a little bit higher up and about here. I don't like to go past where my eyes are, otherwise it could start to get messy really quickly. If you do have a hard time identifying where to place your brush, your blush, you can always smile. These are the apples, so you're going to want to stick on kind of the upper half of the apples. If I put it down here when I stop smiling, it's going to drag my face down a little bit. We want to fight gravity. So I'm going to go up high, and I'm going to connect this to the bronzer as well. I bring it out under the eye, and whatever was left over I bring in closer to the nose, but not too close. Can go in again and put a little bit more on the cheekbone. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. I could have used a liquid blush, but I haven't tested it out with this powder foundation, so it would have been a good call to use it underneath before the foundation. We can try that out another time together. Does that look like I got slapped? I hope not. Okay, trust the process in any case, because we're not done yet. We can always tone it down with a little bit more foundation after if we need. So now I'm actually going to go back to the eyes, and just because it does look, I wouldn't say harsh, but there's a stark difference between the shadow part and the non-shadow part. I'm going to go in with a little bit of bronzer, and I'm going to apply it to the lower lash line. This is going to help two purposes. It's going to help blend the eye look so it looks a little bit more diffused. And it's also going to help hide any wrinkles that you might get based on whatever concealer you're using. So if I get up close, you can see that I do have a line here. It's not a marked line per se, but it is there. So it's just going to help blend things in case later on in the day they start to accumulate in that wrinkled area. So I just go back and forth on the lower lash line. I like how this looks. Totally optional if you don't. But try something new once in a while. You never know, you might like it. Can you see the difference between this eye and this one? You probably can. Again, I'm just going back and forth to blend it out. And I'm connecting it back to the top there. I know they said no highlighter, but I'm going to cheat just a little bit. So I'm actually going to use this trio of powders to brighten up the eye area just a tiny bit. So I'm going to go into the lightest and the more yellow leaning shades. I'm going to apply that to the inner quarter as well as the brow bone there. And I'm just going to do one eye first. That way you can see the difference. And I concentrate on the inner tear duct portion and I drag it out just a little bit to give more definition to my eye shape. And I'm going to do again this on outside portion here underneath the brow. So it's technically not a highlighter, but you are bringing more light to certain areas of the eye. So that's the difference. It is subtle, but it is there, and it does give you a little bit more of a woken up, alert. I don't know what the word is. You look a little bit more awake. And I'm going to repeat the same underneath the brow bone. And I still have to do the brows. Don't think I forgot. Alright, hopefully it looks like I had a good night's sleep. Okay, so now I'm just going to do my brows. I'm going to be using the Sephora Collection waterproof dual-ended. So it has the spoolie on one side and the pencil brush on the other. I'm going to brush up my brows and I'm going to take note of what areas are a little bit more sparse, and that's where we're going to fill them in. So it would be a little bit here at the beginning. I'm going to brush upwards, and the tail end I want to define a bit more. I'm not going to go down into this area where the hairs start, otherwise we're going to end up with a really thick looking brow. I'm just going to concentrate them in the tail part that has more hairs. And I'm going to blend a little bit long strokes in the middle just to connect whatever I did at the front to the tail. Perfect. Or at least I hope it's going to turn out perfect. I'm going to repeat the same on the other side, but again, you can see a little bit of a difference there. Once we apply the gel, you'll see the full effect. Wow, this brow means business. The other one's just kind of hanging out. It's okay, we'll put them at the same level right now. I'm just doing long strokes on the tail. Have you guys noticed that you have a different tone of voice when you speak to people you don't know versus like your family and friends? I get made fun of for using like a Mickey Mouse voice at work and with people I don't really know. I'll say, "Hi, my name's Melody." And my actual talking voice is more this tone. Maybe it's just a me thing. And I'm just going to brush them up to help blend in if there's any chunky looking strokes I might have accidentally put. Again, remember, you want this to look natural, so it doesn't have to be perfect. This is a good time to fill in any bald spots you might have on your brows. Like right here. And to set my brows, I'm going to be using the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter. It comes translucent. So this one did kind of run out. So I actually kind of filled it in with a Got To Be hair gel. I actually really like the spoolie on this, so please don't judge me. You gotta do what you gotta do. So I'm just going to brush in the opposite direction of what my brow hairs grow. And then I'm going to brush up. And that's just going to make sure that I coated all the hairs. And then I can brush in the direction I want them to be. And with this spoolie, because part of it is flat and the other one has the little hairs there, I can press it down to set them where I want the hairs to stay as well. So you can get that laminated effect. Kind of like that. They still look thick, but that is technically my natural brow. So I'm just going to do the same. I'm going to apply it to all the brow hairs. Go in the opposite direction to make sure they all get coated. I totally just got some on my lashes by accident, but we'll fix that in a bit. And then I press them down. I'm going to go ahead and do my liner now, and I'm actually not going to use black, I think. Actually, no, you know what? I am going to use black today. I was going to use this plum colored one, which is very pretty, but I'm going to use black actually. So this is the Sephora Collection Waterproof 12-Hour Intense Ink Liner. It's new to their line. They had a really great one that I used to love, but it got discontinued. So for a while, I was using their not waterproof one, which is this one, and it has a really good, easy to use tip, but I thought I'd give this one a try. This one's more of that felt, kind of like a marker tip, but it's quite stiff, so I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. I'm gonna apply it, and I'm gonna do a little bit of a cat eye effect, tiny bit. So what I like to do is, I look at where the waterline is, and I try to extend it from there on the going upwards. kind of like that. And then I connect it back in. And you're going to have this little triangle that you're going to be able to fill in. And then I go to the beginning. And I go as close to the lash line as possible. And I start drawing it. Oh man. This is how you end up with a thick liner. No, we'll fix it again. I don't know if you can hear shaking, but my little one is running upstairs. I can hear him. Perfect. So the tip does look a little bit thick. So what I like to do to make it look sharper is that I go on the upper part where the black ink is. I'm going to extend it out. Straight across. Okay, I kind of hate this liner. This works better with the other one, I swear. With this one that isn't waterproof. I'm gonna look like, I don't know, a raccoon. But I'll try to see if I can show you what I mean. So this one, it has more of like the bristles instead of like that marker tip. And it's a lot easier to work with. Can you see how you can make that look a lot more fine? You know what, we're gonna put on fake lashes anyway, so it's gonna work out in the end. I guess I'm gonna repeat the same. So that's something I don't like to do, but I always do for consistency wise. If I make a mistake on one side, I replicate it on the other side so it looks less mistake and more intentional. And also, when you apply lashes, that kind of fixes everything. Even if it didn't look perfect the way you want it, it ends up looking pretty good. Maybe I just needed to stay quiet while I did it because this one came out a lot better. And I'm just filling it in, but I'm not gonna go all the way. Okay, I like how this one looks better, but you know how it is doing liner. One side is always better than the other one. But we want consistency, so we're gonna copy this side. So that means I have to extend the tail on this one, make it a little bit thicker as it goes by the lash line, and hopefully it'll come out okay. I don't know if they look even, but again, the lashes is going to help hide any imperfections. So now I'm going to go in with setting spray. I like to spray it before I apply my mascara, just because if the mascara isn't waterproof, it's going to get them wet, and then there's chances that when you close your eyes, you're going to transfer it down to your skin. So if you put in the setting spray before the mascara, you're going to avoid that from happening. So I'm going to go ahead and spray everywhere. Whew, I wasn't breathing. Okay, I know that was a lot, and I can taste it in my mouth right now. But it's necessary if you want it to lock in the makeup so it lasts for a while. You're going to be very generous with it. There is another setting spray which is like a high professional level. It's, I want to say it's called Krylon, but that's probably not what it's called. But it's like hairspray basically for your face, so it like locks everything down. But I don't have that one, so this is the one we're using, and it's never let me down. The Urban Decay setting spray is really good. I just use the normal original one. Make sure you shake it well before you spray it. And you're going to fan your face if you want, or if you have an electric fan, you can use that, and just until it doesn't feel wet anymore. If you want to, you can layer on a second serving. I can feel that I probably need a little bit more in my mouth area, so I'm going to do that right now. Shake and spray. And dry. I can tell I look a little bit dewy, but we're going to mat this out right before the picture. My baby hairs make me laugh. They're not baby hairs, but it's just the regrowth of what fell out. Also, the heavy amount of setting spray that we used helped helped melt everything together. So it does look kind of fused together in a good way. Lips! Another good tip, apply lip chap before you start. I need to rewatch my videos to follow my tips for sure. Okay, so these are the 4 options I have for my liner. I don't think I want something too dark, so I'm going to take this one out from running. Now I have these 3. I think I'm going to go for the middle one. So this is brown, but it's more of a pink leaning brown. versus this one was more of a true brown. This was the kind of in between these two, and this one's more pink. So I'm going to go for the pinker brown. I'm going to start lining my lips. I think this is going to match because my eyes are a little bit brown leaning the shadow. And again, I suck at doing this while talking. How, you know what, this is totally random, but like, how do ventriloquists do it? How do they talk with their mouth closed? I don't get it. But good for them. So when I do the upper lip, I actually like to, I kind of go like down and upwards a little bit. This is an exaggerated motion, but that's what I like to do here because when I'm serious, I look like I'm frowning, and that's normal, I think. So when I do that to my lips, it looks like I'm always kind of slightly smiling. Also, to mark that little Cupid's bow to mark the Cupid's bow more, right where it is, I like to go upwards. Like I flick up like this with a pencil very softly. This again was an exaggeration. And you can already see a difference there. And again, if I go serious, can you see how this one's like turned up and this one's just kind of turning down? So I'll do the same on the other side. Okay, and since I'm not going to be able to wear gloss, I have to make sure to put on a matte lipstick. You can also do the Kleenex blotting here, just to get rid of any excess that you might have for your lip liner. Okay, I'm between these two colors. Oh wow, you can tell a difference on camera. So this one's more pink and this one's more brown. I'm thinking of going for the brown one, but you know what, let's do the pink one first, and if it doesn't look good, we'll do the brown. And this is just the Maybelline. Wow, the name has worn off. So it comes with a white cap like this one, but my dog bit off the cap on this one. This is the Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink in the shade Seductress. And it's matte. I don't like to go heavy with this stuff. I go in the middle. My faces are not cute when I'm applying this. Okay. I go in the middle and then with my finger, it doesn't matter which one, I drag it out and pat it to make it look a little bit more diffused and softer. Not as harsh. And I smack my lips together. Actually, I might stick with that one today. The other one's just a little bit more brown. Alright, lips done. The rest of the face seems to be done. I'm actually going to go in with that translucent setting powder from before to take away any shine. I can see some here. That was just because of the setting spray we used. So again, I'm going to go in. And I'm going to do half of the face so you guys can see the difference. So it's kind of my T-zone in my inverted T-zone. My eye zone? Does that make sense? So across the forehead, down the nose, and across into the cheeks. My nose, I didn't even put like, the first picture I got rejected for because my nose was too shiny. I swear, they want the life sucked out of you for these pictures. Kind of hate it. So this side is mattified and this one is not. You could probably see a difference there. If I make a fourth video, I swear, for my passport makeup, I'm just gonna go in my PJs. What are they gonna say then? You don't look alert enough. Ugh, I quit. And then my video after that would be why I can't leave the country. Hopefully today's attempt goes successfully. This is my nightmare as a dry skin person. This is my nightmare. Super matte, but it's what they want. Gotta give them what they want. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and apply my lashes off camera and I'll be back. I totally lied. I almost forgot to put on mascara. I'm gonna go ahead and curl my lashes and apply my mascara. Right, so I like to grip at the base of the lash, squeeze, and as I come up, kind of like a curved motion, I squeeze going like this. Not that my lashes can really hold a curl, but if I put it on when they're straight, they're just gonna droop down. So I give them a fighting chance from the beginning. Okay, I'm gonna go in with my mascara now. I'm gonna be using the Essence Volume Stylist 18-Hour Lash Extension Mascara. This comes in a purple tube. And I'm gonna wiggle it close to the base. What I've noticed that does is that it kind of tight lines the the upper inner lash line. So tilt your head back, look down, and you're gonna be able to see, hopefully, that it is not tight lined right now, but when I go wiggle at the base, with that mascara that kind of has like a slight tight lining effect. You can, of course, actually tight line. My eyes are pretty small, so I don't like to do that because then it closes them off even more. And I'm going to take whatever is extra and just put it on the tip. And the mess I made here, we're going to clean that up after, so no worries. And I'm going to put some on the lower lash line too. I'm not going to go back into the tube, otherwise it would be too loaded with mascara for my liking. So the fact that we took some off with the upper lashes, it's, for me, the perfect amount for the lower lashes now. That's one eye with mascara. We'll do the other one too. Again, going close to the lash line. I feel like this isn't the clean girl aesthetic, not athletic. This is not the clean girl aesthetic. What would you guys call this? I feel like this is the Latina girl aesthetic. The liner, barely any shadow, lined lip. There has to be a name for this. Do you know what song I have stuck in my head right now? The one from Guardians of the Galaxy. Come and get your love. I don't even know why. Okay, so now that we've given the mascara time to dry, I'm going to go ahead and, with a Q-tip, just kind of flick off whatever crusty mascara had gone onto the lid. I did do a little bit of this before recording again, but as you can see, it's gone now. And it barely took off any eyeshadow. That's how you fix that problem. Now for the lashes too, I'm going to apply one and then show you my favorite trick on the other. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to apply a little bit of the lash glue to where I know the lashes are going to lay. I've applied it to my band as well, and now I'm going to take some tweezers to line that up and apply it. The reason I like to put some on my actual lid as well as on the band itself is just at the beginning part, not the entire part where it's going to lay, just where the tip is going to be. Because sometimes that tip, the beginning tip, can lift off. So if you glue this and this, it's like you're double making sure that you've applied enough glue. So I'm going to line this up towards the middle, and I'm going to put down the end first. I don't know why I do it this way. I think most people do the beginning first. And then I lay down the tip, the beginning part where I want it to go. You push it in a little bit, and then I'm going to push this towards my lash as much as I can, just to make sure it actually lines up. Otherwise, if you don't do that, sometimes what happens is that there's a gap. So it sticks to your lid here and here, and there's a little gap in the middle. So just gently push it in with your fingers, or you could just push it in with a finger too. These lashes by Ardell look so natural, I think, for a false lash. That's like as natural looking as they get. They're kind of layered, so it's not just one row, it's like 2 rows. But I think it looks a little bit natural. I also like to use clear lash glue, just so it dries and it's completely clear no matter what color of liner I'm using. And if in the process of gluing it down it accidentally touches your lid, it's not going to leave a black mark, which has happened to me in the past. That's why I switched over to the transparent ones. And I'm going to squish them together to make sure they're more natural looking. Alright, so this is one eye. That's from the side profile with the fake lashes. This is the sad reality of what I don't have. We're going to make it match this in a second. Okay, so what I've done to apply the glue here is I applied it first to the beginning tip as well as the end tip, because that's where I want to have the heaviest concentration of glue. And then I dragged the extra through the middle here. And I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other side and just put a tiny bit where I know the beginning of the lashes are going to lie in my eye. Right about there. This one has a lot more glue because I applied it twice. But we're going to see how that looks. And I'm just going to make sure that the tip is actually where I want it to. Usually I go way closer to the mirror, so I'm trying to do my best here, guys. Okay, again, I'm just going to push it in, squish it together with my actual lashes to make sure they blend well. And we're going to let that dry. I'm going to go and revisit the other eye now. And what I'm going to do, another tip for how to blend in your lashes, your fake lashes well to your lashes. When you've done eyeliner like this, sometimes the glue can dry down and look shiny. And if you're wearing matte liner, it's going to be kind of obvious the glue's there, even if it's transparent. So I like to take some of the liner and just go over the band itself. So it's going to cover any glue, the band itself, and any shininess that there may be. I'm just going to go in and do that. And that's going to help it blend in better. I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm not sure if you could see, but this one you could definitely see that the band is looking shiny. So by going in with a liner that's matte, it's going to help make it less obvious. Okay, lashes are down. I told you guys that would fix everything. You can have the weirdest looking eyeshadow. If you put lashes on, beautiful instantly. What do we think? Do we think I'll get rejected this time? I'm just going to have to practice in the car mirror before I go in, because you can't smile either. I'm going to do like a Mona Lisa, not smile, smile. I'm going to have to practice that. So this is basically the finished look. Thanks for sticking in or hanging in there, guys, and watching the whole thing with me. If you do it with me, extra props to you for following along. Let me know what other type of looks you want to see me do. Leave it in the comments. Make sure to like. Give me feedback. Did you like how it turned out? Do you think it could have been better? Is there something you would have done better as well? Or are there any products that you love and you want to see me try? Let me know. I hope you have a great rest of your day, guys. Take care. Bye.